We'll talk about that.
It's quite poor. Hello everybody, my name's Ian.
I'm Jason.
Now, it's worth mentioning that I have mentioned her before, probably on every podcast. Bee and Her Business is one of my favourite artists at the moment, right? Okay. She is signed to a major, I think she's signed to Warner's, right? And she is not making any headway in the charts at all, right? New single came out last week or week before. It's called Rich. I've given it 5 out of 5. It's great, right? Really interesting use of instrumentation at the beginning of it, okay? And it's got a proper lyric, unlike some of the other songs in the top 10. There's a proper story going on there, which is usually how she works. Great voice. I mean, she has got a great voice. There's no real auto-tune that I can tell. And it's got really good production. Is it making any headway in the charts? Absolutely not. Now, I think that's about money and marketing, and the problem. I think part of the problem is these days is that people are told that this is what they should listen to, and people. I mean, I'm being quite rude. Some people are like sheep, and they will listen to. They'll, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think has that changed terrifically. I think that's probably always been the case.
I think
right?
it probably has.
Playlists on radios, right? You know, you were plugging for radios.
Yeah.
You know, all of certainly the large stations have playlists, still have playlists. Of course, the big record companies are feeding into that. The only thing with that now is it's more saturated because you've got algorithms with streaming.
Yeah.
So if you don't make that algorithm, if you don't make certain playlists, then you won't get that exposure. So it is hard to. I think it's always been there, but it's possibly harder to penetrate now.
So when you've got somebody
so many ways of consuming music,
and when you've got somebody she's a Londoner, she has got an amazing voice. She writes her own songs and clearly writes really good songs, good pop songs. You know, how does an artist like that really get that breakthrough when they actually are signed to a label? And you're right, to some extent. You know, how often did you hear that? You know, the record label were not going to support my album, so it didn't get any sales. Or didn't get, you know, it only sold 30,000 or whatever back in the day because they didn't put any money behind it. You know, and I don't quite know how you get past that because she's on social media, she's on TikTok and Instagram and that, doing little like flash mob type things in around London, and she's been touring Australia. So I mean, the girl's working and she's got a band. You know, and they're obviously they're trying really hard to get that breakthrough, but it ain't happening yet. You know, I'm saying watch this space. Maybe might take her another couple of years to get through. But the songs so far, out of all of her songs, she does a very average version of a Coldplay song, but we know what I think about Coldplay. That was on the first EP. You know, that song should be in that, if not the top 10, top 20, but it ain't, you know. So
on the charts, so what was the high score? I think was number 1, Ordinary.
And actually, the 2 high scores were both Alex Warren, actually. So you know, and I was as objective as I possibly could be. There's an awful lot of generic stuff in there, and that saddens me greatly, to be honest. That there's nothing. And I know it's not aimed at me, but it does, from a music production point of view, and from a, you know, shall we say, a record label point of view, an underground record label point of view, it does sadden me that we're in a situation where, you know, most of the stuff in the top 10 isn't great.
Yeah, so I would say, so I was just gathering my thoughts there. So I would say, I mean, out of the top 10 there, if there was something, if I was locked in a room and had to listen to it continuously.
What, the top 10?
Yeah, one of the tracks, the ones I would listen to would probably be that somber one, because it's just inoffensive. And
well, it is pretty.
That Alex Warren, the kind of heartfelt singer-songwriter thing doesn't do anything for me.
Did you listen to the whole track, or did you just listen to
I got a minute of each one. So.
That on the thing, that doesn't work.
Okay, so I should... Okay.
Yeah, actually...
Let me go back then.
Yeah, because I listened to the Alex Warren, because I did it from 1 to 10. I listened to it first, I thought, oh God, this is a bit in your face. When you listen to the actual song, it's almost like it's that version of it on the website. It's like over compressed and it's sort of really in your face. That's not what the song sounds like.
Okay, then I'll take it back. I'll go and listen to it.
So,
but as I said, I can see why it's number one.
I can too. Yeah.
So my big intake of breath there, really, my voice is chiming the guitar.
Yeah.
Was you're saying about the stuff that's in the charts, and is it just generic, and is it? So I've gone back to this week in 1995 to see what was in the top 10 and how much of it has stood the test of time. Right.
Right.
So just very quickly. So Billy Ray Martin, number 10. Billy Ray Martin. She had a couple of hits.
Really? I never heard of her.
Black Grape. That was the Happy Mondays.
I quite like. I bought their album.
Ali Campbell, UB40 Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Bon Jovi.
Yeah, good voice actually.
Bon Jovi, They Saying a Love Song. Somebody called Perez Prado and his orchestra.
Yeah.
Scatman, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Baby D, I Need Your Lovin'. That was kind of a big dance tune.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson, Scream.
And Michael Jackson.
Pulp, Common People, and Robson and Jerome, number one.
Oh my God.
So if you
Common People's the only decent song there.
So if you looked at the cross section of today's top 10,
I
think that's always the case, because it's all about opinion and people have different music tastes.
Yeah.
There's probably only one or two songs out of the top 10 there that you would say, I'd listen to that and like it.
There's one.
And there's some massive artists, Michael Jackson, read Ed Sheeran today, right? I'm not saying he's Michael Jackson, but in terms of global presence.
You see, I don't think we should be listening to Michael Jackson because he's... I know he's not, but he is. He was, So I don't think his music should be out there. It's like Gary Glitter has clearly been cancelled because he was a paedophile, and I'm sorry that Michael Jackson should be in the same boat.
So I think my point is that the cross section of the top 10 is still very similar, despite
it is. Yeah, you're
listening habits changing, the way it's calculated changing. Yeah. It's still different. So we always look at the past through rose-tinted glasses and go, everything was much better in my day.
Actually, I don't think... Yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't.
It was still a bit naff, right?
It was, yeah.
So, anyway.
If you went back to 80s, though...
I don't know, it'd probably be the...
Can you do that for the same... For the 1980s?
1985 then, so 40 years ago.
Yeah, right, okay.
Scritti Politti.
Yeah.
Billy Ocean.
Certainly massive Scritti Politti fan.
Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine.
Yeah, good song.
Jimmy Nail.
Oh God, really?
An Emotion, Obsession.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
It was a good electronic song. Gary Moore and Phil Lynott. The Crowd,
I don't remember that
You'll
one
Never
either.
Walk Alone. Marillion. View to a Kill.
Cayley was a good song from Marillion, and it was. View to a Kill. That was off the film, wasn't it? Duran Duran. Yeah, that was all. It was all right.
Paul Hardcastle, 19.
Paul Hardcastle, 19. I mean, a bit of a one-hit wonder, but it was a really great song at the time.
Yeah.
So
it's
again, interesting.
A bit of a cross section, right?
Yeah, bit.
Some stuff that was,
But it's interesting, though, isn't it?
So that's the charts. Two old farts listening to the charts.
You speak for yourself.
There's
mate.
the tagline.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just our opinion. You can make your own. You can have your own opinion. Let us know down below. That's what we have to do, don't we? We have to. We'd like you to subscribe or follow us, because algorithms love that sort of stuff, really. And if you don't like it, that's okay too. Actually, one of them somebody didn't like. They give us a thumbs down on the YouTube.
So I think recommendations, we've kind of done them as we've gone along.
My recommendation would listen to Rich by Be Her Business.
Okay.
What other recommendations have I got? I am reading a book which I will recommend, but I can't recommend it yet because you can't buy it yet.
You've got a preview copy.
I've got a preview copy. It's not out until later in the year, and I will recommend it when it's available. It's about zombies.
Okay.
Which is not something I would normally read, but it's a good novel. It's a novel. It's not.
Keep guessing.
Yeah, so thank you very much for all your comments. They've all been seen and taken on board. And for anybody interested, you can go and actually look at them on the previous videos down below, really. I was asked to do, whether I'd be interested in doing, I think, John Carter, you're having a laugh, mate. He did ask me if I wanted to do a track and stretch me saying, make an ambient track and me say, whip my what my gate into a track, and
Which
now
means absolutely nothing
to him. Right, so here is the background. John is from York, and I have met John. Whitmer Watmergate is probably the shortest street in England, and it's in York, my hometown. You can, I don't know if it's been rescinded, but you used to be able to beat your wife the full length of Whitmer Watmergate. It's a very short street, so you don't have to, you know. But whatever you do, don't beat your wife is the answer to that. Whip my Watmergate. Yeah, there you go.
Whip my Watmergate.
So it's on that there.
80 feet.
80 feet. It's not very long. Yeah. So there you go. Even a picture of it. So no, John, I won't be making track with me saying whip my Watmergate in any time soon. No.
So should we finish with Ask Ian Anything?
Yeah, go for it.
I've prepared the question this time rather than
to switch it off
random.
again. I like the question last time.
I think we're right. Rather than do random while we're sitting here, I've already prepared the question. So, open the memory banks. I'd like to know, what was your first gig that you went to?
First gig I went to. I know this. I know this question. I was 5 years old.
Whoa!
My first
Was
gig
it in black and white then?
It was in black and white. Apparently, and I don't remember this. I've only got my mother's words actually, but I'm sure my father would have said the same thing. You know. But I was 5 years old, and my parents took me. I think my father was there, but I'm not sure, to see Cliff Richard and the Shadows.
Hank Marvin, can't be.
And apparently, my mother says, which must have been really bloody irritating for everybody who was around me, but I sang all the songs all the way through. Apparently I stood there and sang all the songs to this. So this irritating 5-year-old whippersnapper went to see Hank Marvin with all his mates. Yeah. I don't remember it, but that's apparently my first gig. The first gig that I remember, oh my God, so the
first gig that you went to of your own volition.
My own volition.
Why would that be?
There's a problem there because when I was about 11 and 12, I saw my father was working behind a bar in a workingmen's club, and every Tuesday they used to have a band, an up and coming band on. And I wish I'd made notes as to who these bands were, and I have no idea who these bands were. So I don't know any of those bands, but they would have been up and coming bands.
But you're absorbing music and the live environment regularly.
Absolutely.
So what about as you get into your adult life then, when you got a ticket or you purposefully wanted to go and see someone? Can you remember? Or earliest memory of a? Well,
I mean, from although as that 5-year-old, part of my life at the time was my father played in a. I've got the business card here. Hang on. So, my father played in a band called Noel Jowett's Concert Party. So they were Eddie Taylor and Dennis Cole were singers, musicians, and novelty act. I don't quite know what the novelty act was, right? Max and Harry Benson, all these people are now dead, were tenor baritone duettists, and then Noel Jowett was the comedian and compere. So, and they did clubs, dinners, concerts with their own transport, right? There's no phone number. It's just the address, 22 Carve Close in Haxby, York. So that, and I went as a 5-year-old, even maybe 4-year-old. I would go and see them play a lot of weekends, really. So if they were out gigging, I would be dragged along rather than my mother sit at home.
So what it give you the taste for what you do now,
absolutely.
Right? You've spent many years being a live musician.
Yeah.
Live gigging
I got
musician,
it. I mean,
it was. You got the bug.
It was those days. I'm sure that when I first started to.
So we've got Cliff Richard to thank for you.
Cliff Richard to thank for my I don't know. I mean, I saw so many bands. I can't remember the first band I really saw. apart from that one that my parents took me to, because
I used to listen to the Shadows when I was a nipper, Apache and things like that.
yeah,
I mean that Apache stuff was well sampled in the hip hop days.
well, very much so. Yeah,
There's lots
yeah.
of good
But I mean, I've seen I saw the Sex Pistols and walked out. That's one of my claim to fame. I thought they were rubbish. Scarborough, at Penthouse. And I wish I'd actually made a list of all the bands that I didn't see, but I didn't.
So you're not someone who keeps the tickets in a scrapbook
Absolutely
or anything
not.
like that?
I mean, Jane's into all that sort. She's got tickets for everything she ever watched. She's got tickets when she went to see Tom Robinson.
Right.
You know, people in the 80s. I never bothered with any of that sort of stuff.
Mm.
You know, but I have seen some great bands, but I can't remember them. So does that actually answer your question?
Yeah,
I mean,
in the Shadows. That wasn't on my bingo card.
Yeah, exactly. And I only know that because my mother told me that that's exactly what happened. It's one of those stories that she would drag out every so often to tell anybody to embarrass me that's what happened.
But it was it probably did influence you being around
It did,
in
actually.
those pubs and clubs where there was always live music. Has obviously put it in your veins, right?
Yeah,
Must have.
very much so.
Must
yeah,
have.
you know.
Very good.
Yeah. So thanks very much for watching. We'll see you hopefully next week. If not next week, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Cheers.